most valuable resource in the world is one that we all try to save as much as we can, waste as little as possible, and spend wisely. You might be thinking in terms of dollars and cents right now, but really you should be thinking in terms of minutes and seconds. Most of us budget our money because it's limited, and we want to have enough of it to spend on what matters most to us. Yet many of us are much less intentional with how we spend our precious time. As a student in the finance program here at BYU, I've spent the past few years learning about maximizing return on investment. And I believe that many of the principles that we apply to our money can also be applied to our time. By spending our time according to our top priorities, we can not only live lives that are more productive, but also more joyful and fulfilling. So, what's the problem with how most of us spend our time? Well, we tend to allocate too much of it to activities in two categories: urgent and unimportant. Especially as college students, it's far too easy for us to fall into the trap described by Charles E. Hummel in his essay, The Tyranny of the Urgent, where he describes how most people spend most of their time on things that are urgent, even though the most important things in life are rarely urgent. Urgent activities are those things that demand our immediate attention. They come associated with deadlines and pressure, things that have to be done soon. For us college students, the list of urgent things in our lives can feel never-ending. Between midterm and final exams, group projects, textbook readings, studying for our homework assignments, working a part-time or full-time job to pay for school, rent, and groceries, it can be overwhelming. Unimportant activities, on the other hand, are those things that take our time without giving us anything significant in return. For most of us in this room, myself included, social media is probably at the top of the list. Our goal is to prevent the urgent and unimportant things in our life from inhibiting our ability to spend our time on what matters most. We can do this by budgeting our time like we do our money, by allocating it first to our top priorities. As personal finance guru Dave Ramsey has often said, a budget is the difference between telling your money where to go and wondering where it went. Let's apply this principle to our time. Here are 3 principles of time budgeting so that you can spend your time on what matters most to you. Number 1, pay the Lord first. Giving time to the Lord is the most valuable investment we can make. Modern-day prophets and apostles have repeatedly implored disciples of Christ, especially those in our generation, to give time to the Lord. In a recent devotional, Elder Ronald A. Rasband promised college-age students like you and me that as we make equal time for the Lord in our pursuit of higher education, we'll have the Spirit with us, we'll have more time for our classes and coursework, and doors will open for us that otherwise would have been closed. Who doesn't want and need blessings like those? So, pay the Lord first. Before you allocate time to anything else in your life, set some aside for Him. Number 2, pay yourself second. Differentiate between the urgent and the important in your life, and allocate time to the important before you worry about the urgent. These important activities may look different for each one of us depending on our priorities, but it's likely to include things like spending time with family and friends, taking care of our bodies through exercise and sleep, and developing and enjoying our hobbies. Whatever they may be for you, it's likely that you'll notice there's no urgency, there's no pressure, there's no deadlines with these activities. So when we get busy, they're often the first things that fall out of our lives. Yet they're the most important. So allocate time to them second before you worry about the urgent. So even when life gets craziest, you ensure that you do these most important things. Number 3, just like with any good budget, take time to review it regularly. Reflect on how you're spending your time and how you can improve, and be patient with yourself as you develop habits that may take time to stick. About a year ago, during one of the busiest seasons of my life here at BYU, a friend shared a quote with me that I've never been able to forget. And I actually wrote it in the front cover of one of my journals so that I would see it more regularly. It's by the author Bob Goff, and he wrote, "I used to be afraid of failing at something that really mattered to me, but now I'm more afraid of succeeding at things that don't matter." When I read this quote, my entire perspective on how I was spending my time changed. I opened my calendar and my to-do list and realized with regret that although I had planned how I was going to spend nearly every minute of that week, I had failed to allocate even a little time to some of the things that I truly cared the most about doing. I knew something had to change. So I borrowed these same principles that I've shared with you from my personal finances and applied them to my time. And the transformation was immediate. Planning my week went from worrying about fitting activities into a busy schedule and changed instead to reflecting on my life's trajectory and how close I was to achieving some of my most important goals. In summary, I stopped worrying so much about the pieces of the puzzle and started caring a lot more about the picture that I was ultimately building. As you budget your time according to these three principles, not only will you do more, but you will do more of what matters most, leading to a life that is more joyful and more fulfilling. Time truly is our most precious resource. Each second can only be spent once. So spend yours on what matters most to you. Thank you.